For literally years now, I've flirted with the idea of getting Bozo tractor boots, which have kind of become the new geo-basket in this next generation era of Rick. He never seems to make them in the configuration I want anymore, which is like the Chelsea with grained leather and a polished black sole, but I just never felt the pull to acquire any version of them, and their look is a bit redundant with some other footwear I already have. Instead, I found myself more strongly gravitating toward the Bogun boot, which is similar in its role, but far more appealing to me as a statement piece, and is a far more cohesive design if you ask me. Unfortunately, they're really expensive, and they're also kind of low production, yet high demand, which means they usually sell out before ever going on any kind of discount. After lusting over them for months and clearing out some other items from my collection, I finally found them at a minor discount and jumped on it. The box here is the same old heavy-duty mainline Rick box. In fact, it's the exact same size as the last pair of Rick boots I reviewed on the channel. Inside, you get the tote bag with an embroidered Rick Owens logo. Also inside is a disclaimer regarding imperfections in the leather. So here they are, and my god, they are huge. Way bigger than I anticipated. Compared to the Bozo tractors, the upper here has got to be bigger, and while the design of it may appear identical, I don't think it is. The design of the shaft is the same as you'll find on the Bozos and any other Rick Beetle Chelsea boots by extension, but the toe box here seems unique. True to their name, the Bozos remain flat and rounded, but these Boguns slightly protrude upward. It's a very subtle difference, but to my eye, gives these a more refined and complete look. The rest of the upper is definitely less of a highlight. It's essentially just a very large Chelsea boot and doesn't become all that interesting until it reaches its terminus in the toe box, which is honestly fine as the majority of the upper will probably be covered anyway, as I'll discuss later on. Obviously, the most standout element of the Bogun boot is the sole, which is massive, bold, and easily the most extreme I've personally had on a pair of shoes. Much like the infamous Kiss boots, these are platform heels, though the execution is far more subtle, at least relatively speaking. While you'd probably never wear these in a formal context, I think they do tend to look a little more formal. The first part of the sole emulates what you'd find on more traditional leather shoes and boots, though I do believe it to be made out of plastic rather than hard stacked leather or wood. The platform part of the sole is just so crazy. Its footprint extends way beyond the already large upper, and then the heel itself, it's no joke, it's almost 3 inches. So these are clearly a big statement, a flashy item, but at the same time, I feel the execution has a level of classiness to it, and from sole to upper, I think it's a more cohesive design than the Bozos, and it just has more luster to it. There's plenty of big boots to choose from right now, but there's something distinctive about these. They're about as loud as you could be while still being polite. Unlike the Bogun boots, they're not aggressive or militaristic, and unlike the Kiss boots, they're not shouty and begging for attention. I think this is a boot that, when worn properly, should somewhat blend into the outfit, only to be noticed upon further inspection. The leather used on the upper is exactly the same as that used on the last pair of Rick boots I reviewed, the Geth Army boots. I was pretty underwhelmed with that leather, especially for the price, and that persists here unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, it's high quality full grain leather and its origin is proudly emblazoned on the sole, but the treatment here is that super buffed finish with a thinner, more rigid feel. I get that this finish makes sense on a boot, it'll be better at rejecting the elements, not to mention easier to clean as well as hold its form, but it's just not a particularly luxurious looking or feeling upper, especially when compared to its price and something like the Guidi boots from a few videos ago, which mopped the floor with these in terms of quality. It's especially disappointing when many of Rick's staple items like the Geo baskets or mainline Ramones feature uppers that I would describe as impressive and luxurious, but I haven't felt the same about his boots. Unfortunately, that sentiment also applies to the construction. This is a relatively simple upper design with few panels and the stitching is good. Likewise, the elasticated Chelsea shaft is of high quality. What I have an issue with is the connection between the sole and upper. Based on what I can see, there is no welt going on here. I would assume it's just adhesive. That's a huge concern for longevity, especially with the added stress of such a tall platform. These probably aren't going to be a high mileage pair of shoes for just about anyone, but I'd still like to see better construction that allows for repairs in a boot that retails for over $1,000. You might think that these must weigh a ton because of the immensity of the sole, but it's not as bad as you'd think, at least on this Spring/Summer 23 pair. The material transitions from rubber to some kind of EVA foam, similar to what Balenciaga does on some of their models. Naturally, that raises even more durability concerns, but it's extremely dense and not at all squishy to the touch. I think the reason for its use is simply weight savings, and as a side benefit, the shock absorption makes them more comfortable to walk on as well. Still, it's not the ideal material for a sole, and Rick seems to agree, as pairs made after mine, which I think were Edfu, have transitioned to using an entirely TPU sole, though I imagine that incurs a notable weight penalty. Overall, these are really not that luxurious or impressive as an object, which is just how it seems to be when you get to the newer Rick stuff versus the iconic staple pieces. My videos last year featured some shoes with very impressive materials and construction, and by that metric, these do not even come close to justifying their price, and since they pretty much sell out at MSRP, your ability to limit the pain with a sale is limited. You're definitely paying for the look, which is just how it is sometimes, but at least I can truly say that the look here is unique. Whether it's worth it or not is for you to decide. If you ask me, the move with these Bogun boots is to wear long, billowing pants that pull over the shoe and rest right where the platform starts, while exposing the protruding toe box. Now, I had pants that I thought were big on me, were too long on me, and then I got the Boguns and was humbled. I tried them with pants that I thought would be a good pairing, and honestly, they're just not good enough. I was going to go ahead and upload this video months earlier, but I wasn't happy with the fact that I didn't have a single pair of pants that truly showcased these on foot, so I waited a bit and got myself some Geff jeans. Now this works. These are the kind of pants you should be wearing with the Boguns, and as extreme as both of these articles of clothing are on their own, put together, they kind of balance each other out. The Geff jeans are truly gargantuan, especially off-body, but they pull beautifully over the Boguns while simultaneously taming the oversized, clownish look of them. This kind of look is very on-trend right now. Most Balenciaga looks involve a big shoe and big pant combo like this, but I do think Rick's take on it is a bit more elegant, more dressed up, more extravagant and glamorous. Very emblematic of the Tyrone-influenced era. It's a look that I've previously only dipped my toes in, and honestly, this is about as deep as you could possibly go into it, and I have to say I like it a lot. It's unquestionably the only way that I would wear these boots, but I have seen them styled with more slim pants on web stores, and I think even from Rick himself, stuff like the Bauhaus cargos. I guess it could work, but I think it's a waste of these boots. Just wear something else that's more flattering to that look. I did try them with the Astaire pants, which are sort of slim and cropped, and it looks okay, but these things are just so proportionally large to my body that they need to be tamed by a large and wide pant. Compared to the Bozos and the Kiss boots, these are a happy middle ground, and I think it's better than either of them. Not to mention, those two are kind of overworn at this point. I'm straight up sick of seeing the Kiss boots. It's been done to death by both Instagram and Rick himself, while the Bozos literally appeared on a Disney Plus TV show. As huge as these are, they are the right size for me at true to size. They fit with more room at the toe than my Geff Army boots, but that's likely just down to the design rather than sizing. Being a Chelsea boot, they're super easy to get in and out of, and comfort is not as bad as I was expecting. Like I mentioned, the EVA foam sole brings down the weight to a manageable level and also cushions your steps. The height of the platform isn't that bad either, since the total contact patch of the sole is so large. That being said, they're not practical. I wouldn't want to walk more than a few blocks at a time in them, and you probably shouldn't drive in them. Even automatic would be questionable in my opinion. I think that's fine because these aren't the kind of shoes you'd wear on a daily basis even if you could. They're a statement piece item for special occasions and outfits, and they play that role flawlessly. Well, that's all I have to say about these. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.